Our guest, Parag Khanna, talking with us about the significance of this trip and the relationship of these two leaders. President Trump has said he's very fond of Narendra Modi, and they do have similar styles in their leadership. Parag, if you can talk more about this as we see them walk down this red carpet.
Absolutely, Natalie. And as you said earlier, it's more important for President Trump to be treated well by the leaders than, he can excuse in a way if the country such as China or India, quote unquote, treats America badly in certain areas like trade. But to be feted in this way, and of course, he really hasn't ever had such a rapturous reception anywhere else in the world. By the law of numbers, it's pretty much impossible for him to have this kind of experience anywhere else. So it's going to be quite a feast for the senses. So there is that, again, the peer-to-peer relationship that is going to deepen as a result of this. As we said before, there are those structural issues where for a very long time, analysts and officials have felt that the U.S. and India should and need to come together in a long-term way. And again, the geopolitics of the relationship with China and wanting to counter China, balance China, even contain China to some degree is an area that of common interest, no doubt. The economics of it, the trade, that can be smoothed out. We've seen that happen with a much tougher adversary, if you will, in the case of China. And in a way, India is one of the countries that benefits from the U.S.-China trade war because you start to see more American companies say, well, let's start to make things more in India. That's what we're seeing Apple, for example, and other companies do. And even in sensitive areas, as we were saying before, defense, pharmaceuticals, American companies are there. One other area, again, that bridges the domestic and the foreign policy that we obviously have to address is immigration. Indian Americans are the second largest Asian population in the United States, behind Chinese, just narrowly behind Chinese. And let's remember that the largest number by far of H-1B visas approved every single year for global talent and professional workers go to Indians. We've seen a steep drop-off in the number of Chinese immigrating to the United States as a result of everything from the trade war to the fear factor around intelligence, espionage issues, the number of Chinese students starting to plateau as well. The number of Indian students, however, even though it's also experienced a blip, there is that long-term sense that that Indians can integrate very well in the United States, given the English language, technical education, and so forth. It's been pointed out in the run-up to this visit, for example, just how many CEOs of technology companies, of pharmaceuticals, and other sectors across the United States are of Indian origin. So the demographic issue is very important. Trump wants this message to go straight back to the 3.5 million Indian Americans, about 50 to 60,000 of whom greeted him when he made that visit, that Howdy Modi visit, where he welcomed Prime Minister Modi to Houston, Texas, just last year. So the demographic issues, the economic issues, the geopolitical issues, in none of these areas are they so far apart that they can't, in fact, come together quite strongly. Natalie, since the 1990s, people have been using this phrase, twin towers of democracy, to describe the U.S.-India relationship and just how significant and stable and steady it can be. Again, making the comparison to Japan, America's deepest, truest, longest-standing ally in Asia, alongside Australia as well. So, in fact, the four countries, Japan, Australia, India, and the United States, have a separate, parallel, a military working group that is known as the Quad. These four countries that are, in addition to the U.S. and India, U.S. and Australia, U.S. and Japan, among the four of them, finding ways to collaborate more in the naval theater, intelligence sharing, to actually work to restrain China's expansion, particularly in the naval and maritime area in the South China Sea and the Indian Ocean. So that, by the way, is going to be another important topic that will surely come up in the course of this visit.
Right. They will be talking about the issues and trade, and the President and First Lady are getting a taste of Indian culture as well as they arrive here at the airport. Parag, thanks so much. I want to talk some more